Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we are back to Castle Crashers. Let's go ahead and exit to the map since we are at the weapon select section. So last recording we ended on a failure, which honestly I am not sure that we don't kind of end on a failure quite often in this game, just the way things play out. These are the places to buy health potions and seemingly nothing else, although buying a pet makes food give you more health. Okay, so we even know what that character would do. So the fear here definitely is that we are close to the end of the game, and although it does seem like we are probably going to have to try several times over to specifically get through every level, 2 or 3 attempts minimum. This was a section where I started doing more magic damage, and I don't feel like I turned up my magic levels. Maybe I did by 1. They were doing, I think, 7 before, and now they're doing 9. And that constant attack ability might be the real solution. Whereas this weapon also seems like it has more of a reach. That being said, I did just die. So how do you fix this? Like, what is the thing that needs to be done? Do we stay far away from this guy and then we wait until we can do that, and then we just run away some more? Because he is doing like massive amounts of damage, 53 damage each time I get anywhere close to him. And even if I can get over him, it actually doesn't seem like that works. And our magic attack seems to really only have enough in it to do barely enough to even knock him down. Definitely not enough to get a one-hit kill. We're still just trying. We're almost to the point where we're done. Finally. Get that 1 coin. I could see the idea if you were playing a weapon that reduced your defense. You might want to use the pig companion. But almost every single companion loses a practical use until you are at a max level, which, as you might be able to tell, we are not at a max level. We are about to level up, which is different. And if this game doesn't have a max level, I haven't seen good evidence to imply that going up, say from level 100 to, I'm gonna drink a potion, to like level 200, if that means you don't get any more pips on any of your expansion, thus you don't increase your strength, attack, or anything like that, like, I don't see how that would change anything, because strength is being indicated specifically by those pips on the stat screen instead of other ways that RPG games do that type of thing, which would be to simply have the base attack go up every time your character leveled up, no matter what. And I can certainly see an argument to be made that your base attack probably should just go up. When you compare it to like how I think Diablo worked, where you got points that you were put into magic and maybe different kinds of magic, that there might be a secondary trait to put pips into that makes more sense than instead of having it all be standard traits of speed, magic, and attack. Or you'll sometimes have strength that is just a requirement to wear and equip certain armors, but not a number that directly affects how much damage your character does. Usually, if you have strength that requires a certain amount of strength to wear certain weapons, then the weapons have a base attack. Also, I would say that a lot of RPG games like Diablo have a range of damage that is calculated in the background, where this is super simplified to the point where it feels like not much changes. Like I think I would prefer, frankly, if what happened is doing 11 damage was the equivalent of doing 2 units of level 10 damage, where every number effectively doubled. So here's this weapon that we found. And this is where I died last time in the last recording, which had a little bit of lost footage in it, about a minute of lost footage. But seriously. Alright, well, we gotta figure out what this new magic attack is. A, then right trigger Y. Let's see. A. Ball. A ball that does about 21 damage of energy, but potentially keeps you in a safer point. Although, I think you're doing significantly less damage through that attack. So, while that might be helpful in some scenario, in a lot of other scenarios, it's not the best move. Does kind of feel like maybe you could get some extra distance using the attack. But I think you can probably see the problem with this game, particularly playing it as a single player if you run into a difficulty section, all you're going to do is grind. So if we die this time, we'll go and try a different arena, but I don't think the arenas actually do anything, so then the best move I can think to do would be to start the game over from the beginning, and would be crazy, but just run through all the levels a second time and hope that by the time we've made a full loop that we will at that point be over leveled for the area. At least that would be my hope. This guy's still walking towards me. What is this weapon? Nothing. There's no use number as far as these weapons. They don't degrade over time, so the enemies dropping copies of the same thing doesn't really do anything. Let's see. Think for safety's sake we need to drink a potion. And then if we can keep this guy running this direction, that's better, because it keeps him far, far away from the other two characters. But these guys just hit too hard. And our defense is already at the maximum. So the game balance is just broken as far as single player is concerned. And I could maybe try and eat a sandwich to take on the large group of enemies. Alright, now we'll run the other direction until he decides to finally die. Still only getting 1 coin. You'd think that the game should be programmed to give some pity on me and potentially have more gold drop. It's not even balanced enough to make us to allow us to buy more potions for the deaths that we're taking, because we would need at least 11 coins, and you're not getting at least 11 coins every time you die. And an apple is helpful, but not super helpful. Alright, 3rd time's the charm. Alright. What we're gonna try and do is get as many people together in the same place as possible and see if we can get a bunch of these guys into a locked state. And I don't think we're really succeeding too much on that. And they all have arrows abilities, which makes it mean that if one decides to stay back and attack me, he can break me in any pattern I'm trying to do. So let's see. I need to probably do this and then Y. Double A, then Y. And even that doesn't seem like that really works. We got one more level up. And I want to put it in speed, but I probably should put it in damage. See if I can get all of the enemies to be on the ground and then hit Y to stomp them. That would be great, but they all move in different directions when they get up off the ground. So they scatter instead of being predictable. We're at half health, and these guys are getting some crit hits. But the spinning attack really is just doing 1 damage, so even 1 stomp is the equivalent of 15 spin attacks. If I can jump up 1 and then hit Y, I can hit him with a 13, and that does seem like that somewhat works. I'm about to die again, so another potion. These guys are just too many and too strong. Too much of a bullet sponge in a game that doesn't even have bullets. They're just total damage sponges. So how can they make any more characters that have more health than these guys? If they do, it'll just be annoying. Like, I wouldn't mind a boss having more health than these guys, but boy are we just tapping buttons. Oh, and I listened to my footage and I did hear there's a lot of button controller sounds. Apologies for that. Not anything I can really do about it at the moment. I do have some long-term plans to maybe get some more soundproofing, particularly to soundproof the keys, the place where I'm holding my controller, the lower end of that. But it is probably a good little indication, though, of just how much button pressing is going on in this game. A lot of grindy button presses. Alright, so these guys are coming up from the other end, and then we've got blue Eskimo characters, or blue magic ice characters, for lack of a better description, and we're hoping that maybe they don't take so much hits to kill. But even if that is the case, that would be a hard thing to even see and be able to determine when we're fighting both of them at the same time. And I don't fully believe that we won't just end up finding out that the Eskimos are as strong or have as much health as the black armored knights, which wouldn't logically make much sense, but the way this game is going, I wouldn't be surprised. There's no way to run past this either. So either you do it or you move forward. Now there's this series called River City Ransom that recently they have decided to make, it feels like 2 or 3 new games in the series at the same time, and not all of those games obviously are going to be good. Like, the odds that 3 new series in a lesser known arcade beat 'em up game all being great is very low. But the one that definitely caught my eye was River City Gals, or River City Girls. I can't remember even the name, so I've kind of forgotten it. But the thing to take from that game in comparison to this, from what I saw in the reviews, having not played it yet, is even though you are just beating up on the same enemies over and over again, like we are now, there's all kinds of collectibles, there's all kinds of abilities, there's all kinds of items you purchase in shops, there's an interesting story that makes sense, it's a fun story, there's a reward and motivation to try and defeat areas, I believe, without taking too much damage or any damage. There's just a lot of excellent gameplay design in it. And in all fairness, some of the other River City games felt like they were cheap cash-ins. Compare that to this game, though, it's just button pressing. And even if this was a old school beat 'em up game on an arcade in the early 80s, just tapping the same button over and over again can only get you so far. Like, the Simpsons game really only had the combo team up abilities. As far as I can tell, there are no combo team up abilities in this, at least playing single player. If there are, you're totally not able to do it in single player. Yeah, none of these ice guys have died by now, so clearly they have as much health as clearly they have as much health as the armored guys. Although I'm also just jumping around, spinning, and doing like 1 damage. Here we have X, X, Y, 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 which now that we have this new combo, which I guess we got because we're at level 32, like, that might be helpful. It's been a very long time since we've gotten any kind of combo. I don't even know what we're actually doing. Next. Why? It does kind of feel like they want you to stay on the ground, and then they do everything in their power to not really make it beneficial to stay on the ground. Which I can only just attribute to bad gameplay design. And this attack has a throw up option at the end. It's a juggle, so then you could do something like that if you're really good. We have rocks and swamp, and now we're going to burr. I feel like we're gonna fight an abominable snow monster, and I imagine that just took us to a new level without actually giving us time to use the items or level up. The game actively punishes you for not dying, actually, when you think about it, because the only time you can put in new pips, like I can't come over here and do anything to my stats or anything like that. I did want to see under settings if you could turn off the heads up display for the enemy's life bar. Nope. Alright, so there's nothing you can do from the menu. And you can't hit the back button. I feel like the back button did exist when this game came out on Xbox Live Arcade. I think is where it first came out, in one of those Summer of Code or Summer of Arcade announcements that Microsoft for a couple years was doing a pretty nice deal where they were either giving away for free or selling relatively cheaply digital downloadable games before buying all games digitally became just kind of a de facto standard. So I gotta be careful because I don't want to run into a death scenario, although now dying right now probably wouldn't be too much of a problem. These guys are throwing snowballs at me, or maybe snowballs with rocks in them, or ice balls. Take your pick as to what they could be throwing. A full attack in the air across the screen, almost, and it killed it. Alright, so let's see if we can break this first. These guys seem like they're gonna do some kind of magic on me. I'm not sure what the magic is though. Need to be careful because we are low on health. We'll use our last health potion. And now we go. There isn't just a smooth enough controls here to stay on the ground. If that really was what they wanted us to do, is just to stand in the ground and then do left, right, forward, backward attacks, take as many people out, and be able to handle every single attack. I can't do that. Like I literally just cannot stop them from hitting me with an arrow. I can't stop many of the magic attacks. I can't stop myself from being overwhelmed by large groups of them. I really can't stop myself from getting hit from behind very often. Everything I try to focus on the screen, it is a very busy screen, usually anyways, but even when I am trying to focus on one thing, there's usually two or more enemies coming around the back to cause me frustration. And my speed, if I was just supposed to become like a super fast attacker, my speed is so limited by that speed metric that you really can't pull that off either. Alright. Let's see. There's 16 gold. So yeah, you just continuously have cheap hits. Now, comparing this to the Ninja Turtles arcade game, I don't think there was any team-up attacks in that. So that might have been a slightly more basic beat-em-up style game. But I would also argue that the Ninja Turtles 4-player game probably shorter than this by several hours, and definitely not as kind of difficult as this is, considering this game has no difficulty settings at all. And there was zero chance that this game was going to end up in some kind of arcade cabinet. Not largely, at least. Maybe somebody built a custom arcade cabinet or two with Castle Crashers in it. So this playing like a early 80s arcade game designed to steal quarters away from players doesn't really work. What should I do? One, two. Like, see how he just picked up there and attacked totally different? I'm probably gonna get locked into a boss fight here, and that boss fight is probably gonna be the end of me. Like, let's see if we can get this little seal as a pet. Apparently not. So the baby seal is not a pet. These guys are all trying to do ranged attacks on me. So even though I just leveled up and that saved me for a brief second, it really didn't save me enough. Come on. I want to go a little bit further back this direction and see if there's a perhaps place where something is buried. I don't think I saw anything, but I might be wrong. It seems like I'm doing now 14 damage. Yeah. See, nothing buried there. Something is buried here. So we've got a new weapon. And that shows me something of interest. So there's a penguin character that's not a pet, There's a baby seal that's not a pet. Clearly, a lot of these pets are designed visually to potentially be little plush toys to be sold. These guys are getting more and more magical by the second with their attacks. And if we start to get this going, I think I can start to do the attack that I think I ended up using for the rest of the game, which is the upward juggle with the Y cycling all the way across the entire length of the screen, doing a massive amount of damage. And you can see it is somewhat working. It is just a matter of, can you keep the rhythm? Is that? Yep. Apparently neither one of those. And I guess we are going up over here. Let's come back over here. Interesting. Well, that just dropped us out of the level, and that's not what I intended to do. Well, Snow Store, how much is this? 18, that's way too expensive. 16, 20, 400. Helps you find buried treasures. Literally nothing worth purchasing in that level. I kinda don't get it. I kinda don't get how I'm supposed to be able to afford all of these things without just playing the game a ridiculous number of times. Okay, so we were in Snow World, I guess, and so then we are in Ice Castle, and if we walk out the Ice Castle, it just takes us to that. So at some point in the future, I'm gonna have to go back to Snow World and blow the horn, because I'm fairly certain there was a secret there. Right, so we know these are gonna try and fall on us. We can see that there's cookie dough and bologna in the background, as if that was a freezer. The horn doesn't seem like it really does anything. And I assume these are just here to hurt us. There's some meat in the background there. There are dots on the ground, and one kind of assumes that if I just avoided the dots, I could walk fairly close to them. And then there's another ice cream in the background. This doesn't feel like much of a level. And if this is a wind up to a boss, then I have to wonder if the boss is just super challenging. Because that definitely isn't something I'd want to do again. And here we have the ice guy taking the blue princess. There's no sandwiches that are available here. I guess I don't need a sandwich though. I can just break through the door that way. Apparently this direction is arrows and armory, and This direction is hearing and falling to your death. It seems like I'm on a little platform. Alright. So this is an entire level that is literally just around listening. But sometimes it doesn't actually make a sound. So this isn't really fair. That really wasn't fair at all. And all I can do is, if I was gonna send them down that direction, is keep them on that platform because I can't knock them off, apparently. And that food did seem like it did a decent job of refilling my health. Maybe that's what this weapon does, is it drastically increases the amount of health you get from attacking with a food, or from eating food. You get more health. And so we're gonna free her. Let's see if this does anything. Like, nope, that just does 21 damage, which is not significant enough. This guy's going to disappear and reappear, and we can do a decent amount of damage. And I don't think we really even need too much of a combo on him. I think we just kind of need to run up to him and do this. Like, the ground is a little slippery, but not so slippery that it actually affects too much. Just enough to kind of make it annoying. It feels like you don't even really slide as much as you just have a slow acceleration that happens. And then jumping in the air when he does that attack seems to work fairly well. Yeah, this is just gonna take long though. He's not even really hurting me, though. We just get a few good hits on him, and we should be able to take him out. No real explanation or story as to why these 4 major bosses all decided to kidnap the 4 princesses. Feels like you could have had some backstory revealed at some point. Have your writers actually write some dialogue or text. Have some journals that you can find. Just do the basic world building that would make the Castle Crashers brand an interesting brand, something that would be sellable, instead of just making a game that you assume would be popular enough that people would want a sequel and want a whole franchise from it. And in all fairness, Castle Crashers was fairly popular, but it never got a sequel. And nobody was really buying Castle Crasher merchandise 3 or 4 years after the fact. Maybe some pre-order bundles or super committed fans bought a few. Certainly they're still selling merchandise on their website, but I wouldn't be surprised if that is the initial run of merchandise that was created when the game first came out. Yeah, and it's not even a thing really in games. Like, it really shouldn't be a thing, and it really isn't a thing that merchandising is a big deal in video games, unless you're talking something like a Nintendo property. Bayonetta is kind of a great example of that. Bayonetta's super popular. The third game in the series is coming out. It is a character with a strong visual appeal, or lots of characters with strong visual appeal. There could definitely have been attempts at merchandising there, but there definitely wasn't, and not too many people were crying out for there to be merchandising. And you further run into a problem where things like Dead Island have pre-order statues and bonuses and t-shirts and things that they try to give to people who are big enough suckers to pre-order a game that hasn't been reviewed yet. And even those items are not popular. Small numbers of people like to collect those, and then the vast majority of people stick it on a shelf and forget about it, and then eventually just clean off their shelves after a few years. And he's sped up his attack, which makes the slow acceleration on the ice make this more difficult. Like, may have to just try and hit this guy this way. He's not really hurting me. He's just there. I'm just not fast enough. And that kind of makes it feel like this crossbow may have been specifically added just as a backup mechanic in this one boss fight. Like, if I wasn't able to get close enough to this guy, and he was just going to constantly drop these icicles on me, they eventually would lower my health enough and kill me and defeat me in a very unsatisfactory way. I suppose the X button dash does work. Yeah, so I can also do that. There we go. He's frozen himself. Now we've got gems falling everywhere. Let's see, we're at about 280 before we start collecting things, and we're getting up to 450. We killed exactly 4 people in that level, and that gave us exactly how much XP? 336? How much XP is needed to even defeat a level? That's a good question. Let's see how long we've been playing. Yeah, we need to return home, and I don't think we even have a different character. So we found this weapon that does 2 magic. And then, let's see, we had those weapons. We had those weapons. This does +4 damage, -2 magic, +4 speed. I think that means that this weapon, as silly as it may be, is actually the best weapon we have right now. Let's go to the thieves store. I'm fairly certain we've bought this. 15 may be the best price you can get these at. I'm trying to see if we can go to all the stores and purchase whatever we haven't purchased yet. Fairly certain we found this. Either that or we bought it. I don't think we have that. There's something, I guess. Can I just barely afford this? No. So I probably don't need to travel any further, because I probably can't afford to purchase anything else. Well, I have like only 80. We can buy a bunch of sandwiches, and that's it. So even though we beat a boss and got some gold, it doesn't really help us. And I don't know, maybe I shouldn't have put everything into defense, but I have a hard time believing that, because if you're dying, one would by default assume that you should put everything into defense. I guess as we get more levels soon, we'll be able to balance up speed and magic and strength, and we'll see what happens. Although I kind of feel like speed and strength are not even as useful as they seemed like they would be. I don't feel like you got a bunch of gold after defeating the corn boss. In fact, I'm absolutely certain you didn't get any gold after defeating the corn boss. So, yeah. That doesn't seem like that's gonna... There are really great options to grind to get more gold. So unless the game just completely finishes with you having receiving millions and millions in gold, I don't know what happens, other than they want you to play the game multiple times. So here we have dark magic, crystals we can't break, and a dead spiky area. And there's a painter character with the purple haired girl that we never have seen her face, and it's fairly obvious the way they did that. Alright, so I am controlling myself with this new ability I suddenly seem to have. The control is not particularly good, and it seems like it does 38 damage each time I hit something. Also seems like pressing the B button doesn't actually work to shoot a arrow. It feels like you'd be able to break the furniture here, but doesn't seem like you can. Right. So we have ninja wizard characters, for lack of a better term. These guys don't seem like they're very full of health at all, which is nice. I'm getting really tired of running into bullet sponge after bullet sponge after bullet sponge. 5 gold that way. Can't go up these stairs. Floating building. Can't go up these stairs. All these heroes in the background have giant heads like me, although it seems like most of the enemies don't really have the giant heads. So there seems like there's almost 2 different species in this world. Yeah. I can't say I hate the giant head art. And it does seem like this guy is giving me more gold pickup items. But I don't think it adds too much to the story. Well, it doesn't add anything to the story, I guess, because there really is no story, is there? I think this monkey is probably better just because in the long run it seems like it's causing more food to drop, which means you use less potions, and it's causing more gold to drop. Now we've got a new weapon, which we'll give a try for. Probably want to run through the entire game with this monkey a second time to see if we get more drops. And it kind of feels like we're gonna hit a boss fight, but instead it looks like there's different doorways. This is creepy. Creepy painter guy. It's a like boss fight on a painter that paints. So looks like what we're gonna try and do is kill this guy while not dying ourselves. So he's painting a bunch of weird things. I'll just use the potion. It seems to me like you just do a bunch of 10 damage and take the hit. I don't know how you otherwise take on this guy who looks like a robot, but it doesn't fully make sense. He only seems to have a few things that he can draw or paint. And then there's nothing here to break the platform and keep this guy on the ground. Really? So you just take the hits. And where are we right now, though? Think about this. We are fighting a robot with a toolbox for a head that's painting 2D art enemies to attack us. How is this a game called Castle Crashers? It really just feels like they took way too many drugs while developing this game, or apparently we've unlocked the second phase. Now enemies are just gonna go everywhere. Or they had multiple disparate people making possibly multiple disparate games, and they merged them all together into one. Like, this is not avant-garde experimentalism art. This is just insanity. And I've seen a few games on Steam that just are so crazy, and they're selling themselves as being crazy as far as the visuals and not really much as far as the gameplay, that I've just not been willing to actually play them or try and review them. At a certain point, insanity can't be criticized because it is just insanity. Alright, so we beat one of them, and we'll see if what we picked up now is going to be significantly larger amounts of gold. It feels like it is. Just total insanity there. Like, does not make sense for that to exist. Particularly when this seemingly is the first of 4 boss fights. We never saw that painter robot character before. So if the idea was that this was supposed to be a reveal that the whole world was fictional, created by some kind of magical painter robot, that doesn't really make a lot of sense either. Now we're in a completely different area. This game just feels unfinished at this point. It feels like each of these were boss fights that people were working on, and they didn't bother to create any levels before the boss fights. Which, honestly, since there's so much grinding in the early 80% of the game anyways, it kind of doesn't hurt to not bother to really have a level where you have to grind through enemies before you fight a boss. Honestly, they might have done well to make a large majority of the game just a boss rush experience. Like, the problem that we might run into fairly easily here is that we're going to run out of health. Alright. So this is the piano player guy, and I kind of assume that if we try to walk this way, it won't let us go. We need to keep a tight eye on our health and see how much damage we can really get done. Yeah, he just hits you. Like, he's got nothing. There's no way to hurt him. It's just run away, I suppose, is your only strategy against them. We do have we could try something like the bombs. This is a fairly large character that doesn't seem like he goes anywhere. We could try to do some magic attacks. Doing this though, you should just be running around. Like, and that's what I've learned. Alright, so I'm just gonna line up, wait, and hit him with as much electrical attacks as possible. Let's see what a bomb will do on this guy. 36 damage. It's something. It's not a lot. Would this guy stay on the ground long enough? Is my question for me to use a sandwich on him. Let's try this. He killed me. So when you're in this section like that, is there a way to run ahead? No. So you're gonna have to fight these guys again. Maybe fight the bosses again. I feel like what the game is telling me if I was just to guess, is that we have to run through the game with this guy, or run through the game with this guy and level up. And by run through the game, I mean we just need to start a second playthrough until we can level up a lot higher than where we are. There's clearly a decent collection of weapons that haven't been found. Either that or the game is taking a very large laugh at us by putting big empty sections in between things. -4 damage, +5 magic means that weapon's not actually that useful. So, yeah. I feel like we've got to grind. So let's see what this would look like doing it this way. We have to sit through all of this, don't we? And you can't skip it at all, can you? Nope. There's no holding down of a button, no left clicking, nothing like that. So what is this experience like? They die fairly quickly, but still not really in a full hit. It's not one hit kills. Is that trying to show me something here? Guess not. How much XP are you really gonna get with this though? 3 hit kills and 3 coins. You don't seem like you get experience for buying weapons. You don't seem like you get experience for finding friends. So, yeah. Doesn't feel like there's a super easy way to find secrets or unlocks or grind. Let's see, 12. It's not bad, so we might as well stock up. And this is 32, but we've almost certainly bought it. You don't get really an indicator of anything, like whether the level has something to help you with or not. These are still super slow sections. Maybe I should just take the pet that knocks down enemies and try my best with the bosses that way. Because I imagine I didn't get any saved progress. So I imagine I will have to fight the painter first. I imagine then you'll have to fight the zombie big guy. And then I imagine the next 2 boss battles will be even more of a hassle. And these little coins are just 1 coins. You'd think they would have upgraded to at least 2 or 3 coins based on my level alone. Alright. Grinding through a couple of these levels may give me enough money to buy the pets. And then we probably would have to do a second pass to get the weapons. and buying the weapons in general is not going to be that useful. Would this guy perhaps give us a decent amount of... Yeah, that's like a one-hit kill. So no gold from that though. Yeah, doesn't feel like there's an experience here. Remember also, at least 7 gameplays of this, so at least 7 times with 7 different characters you could potentially legitimately play this game and go through this level and not really get anything from it. And it doesn't seem like there's really a lot of secrets, obviously, because this bird is doing nothing. Obviously there isn't just a secret everywhere in every level. I think I'd be happier just getting more valuable drops. And so this was like the first boss fight. And this will be interesting to see how this plays. That being said, this is far from just a big brother, little brother scenario. Like, I have literally in 2 attacks nearly defeated him completely. And so that really does not work. That totally doesn't work. But I guess I kind of know where to go for gold if I was gonna just try and grind more gold. That got me about 200 gold super easy. But how much XP? Because we did one level where we killed 3 things and got 300. And in this, we killed 51 characters and got 172. So that whole system is broken, obviously. I'm fairly certain we've bought all these. Get back up to that. Fairly certain we bought this. And we definitely bought that. So that was new. I really question though what the value of any of this is. I think we may have already bought that. Let's see, what did this one do? Increases your defense. That might be the solution. That might very well be the solution. Is just an increased defense on top of having a very increased defense anyways with this. It also feels like we are gonna just have to get each of every animal. Like, I don't see a way that we don't get around that to unlock this, which I assume will be some kind of benefit, although I'm not sure exactly what the benefit will be. And honestly, it's going to be a little difficult to justify continuing down the path of playing this game. See, we already have that weapon. Or at least I think that was the same weapon as the one that was available for sale. It is going to be hard to justify continuing to play the game after we've beaten the game just to get collectibles. It doesn't really make sense. Weapon statistics: +4 damage, -2 magic, +4 speed, no defense. But I'd like to be able to see my stats, which is over here, and you can't actually see a number on defense, can you? All you can see is that it is at the maximum. It feels like it probably would have been nice to remove pips and respec, even if it was like 100 gold. 100 gold would be quite a lot in this game, but I would be willing to respec, take out 5 pips of defense right now and put 5 pips into into magic, or 5 pips into strength. Otherwise, we are just in this weird scenario where we are basically at the end of the game and we don't have enough strength, we don't have enough magic, we don't have enough agility, not to max it out the game. It feels like there should be a new game plus, or the game should just actually be halfway done, and it's totally isn't. So I don't know what experience they were expecting people to have. Really, it doesn't make sense unless there's something about the other 2 gameplay modes on the main menu that you're supposed to jump into those gameplay modes and grind it out and level up your character to begin with that. Honestly, it feels like you could have easily started somebody at level 25 in this game from the very beginning, and then have people work up from level 25 to level 30 and just give them half of the pips in total that you could collect, and just let them spec out their character. Something like Fallout, where you have like 10 skill points and you just put it into your character and build your character however you want. That would be a better starting point than where we started with nothing, and then we've gotten to the end and we still really don't have enough. And the game has felt incredibly grindy, and apparently they want you to grind even more. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.